Hello, Sycamore, and welcome to the latest of Spartan Chat. Today we're so excited to visit Miss Mimi Ojaghi from the DeKalb County Regional Office of Education. Miss Ojaghi, welcome to Spartan Chat, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm really impressed you have a student podcast.
We can't wait to get to know you a little better, so let's jump right in. How long have you been working with educators?
So 25 years ago, after working as a corrections officer in a jail and then working as a community service officer, I decided to go back into teaching because I'd worked at a preschool, so over 25 years.
That's really interesting. We know social emotional learning, or SEL, is becoming a bigger part of education. But for listeners who may not know much about it, how would you describe it?
Great question. So I call it learning to get your butterflies in formation. So we get those nervous jitters sometimes, right? And it just helps you understand why you're getting like that, what you can do about it so you can function, being human.
What recommendations do you have for teachers who want to make sure their students have good experience with SEL?
I think a lot of teachers are really trying hard right now to incorporate some of these things, but it can be a little nerve-wracking, especially when teachers are expected to meet so many expectations with academics, right? So I would say be patient with yourself and your students too, and just remember it can be really uncomfortable for lots of people to speak about themselves or to share, and investing time and effort in building relationships and other skills is really important. Not only does it lead to reduced behavior issues because we know each other, it reduces bullying, but it also tends to want to make us come to school more. And then our brain's ready to actually do schoolwork and not just fidget or chit-chat because we've had a chance to connect with each other.
Well, SEL has definitely been a part of our school experience. Sometimes people get worried that SEL takes away from learning time. How would you respond to those concerns?
That's a really good question. I think a lot of people worry about that. But one of the things that I was thinking about was so many times students and teachers are experiencing things that really kind of set them off a little bit. Like I went to the wrong school tonight, right? I went to the middle school instead of coming here. So then I was really anxious and I felt really bad and I was worried. But realizing that that's just part of being human and that we're going to get upset helps me remember that if I practice some strategies, like, okay, I had to say to myself in the car, okay, just take some breaths. It'll be okay. And just like athletes practice or musicians practice, then you have an opportunity to know what it feels like when that happens and what to do about it. So I brought these Hoberman spheres, which are kind of distracting right now to some of you. But the point is, it's a way to kind of practice breathing in and breathing out. And when you do that, if there's an occasion where your amygdala, a part of your brain, has gotten hijacked because you're stressed out because somebody said something mean or something happened, it's a chance for you to get it back on track and put things in formation so you can do what you need to do, right? So you can be more joyful. And then also, as far as it taking away from learning time, I'd say that when we get to know each other better, as both teachers and students, like I said, it increases our desire to feel connected and be motivated because we're engaged and we belong in that space. And then a lot of young people are really experiencing, despite the connections we're all making with social media, there's a lot of loneliness happening for us. And so SEL helps teachers connect with their students, but helps students connect with each other. And that's really important to feeling like you want to learn what's being taught.
That's great. We're really enjoying our time with Mimi Ojaghi from the DeKalb County Regional Office of Education. We have a few more questions we would like to ask her, but before we get to those, let's take a quick break to hear from one of our wonderful sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey kids, do you need braces? Are your teeth crooked, or maybe you have an over or underbite? Call Sycamore Orthodontist and Pediatric Dentistry today. It's never too late to get your teeth straight. Sycamore Orthodontist and Pediatric Dentistry offer affordable, flexible payment options to help fit your needs. So what are you waiting for? Schedule an appointment today. You'll be smiling in no time.
Okay, we're back with Miss Mimi Ojaghi for a few more minutes. Miss Ojaghi, how do you think SEL in District 427 could be even better?
I want to really acknowledge how hard Sycamore has been working on incorporating SEL. So I know the middle school, I've worked with all the schools, but I started with the middle school. And we've done a lot of work together. I'm really impressed. But I would say it could be even better the more we increase student voice and opportunities to engage. So I know West Elementary started a buddy system or buddy program with the high school. And anytime we have students leading things or having, for example, the autonomy, the freedom to choose what they're doing, and to have connection and feel competent. So it's competence, autonomy, and related. That's called the car of motivation. Anytime we can have students driving the car. So some of you may have done circles, and usually the teacher leads, but at some point, we want students to start leading, right? So that you know how to run the classroom, and you know how to run that circle, and you know how to connect with your friends. Yeah, I think that's the best. That's what I could suggest would be more student leadership as we're getting more comfortable with doing this work, which Sycamore's been doing for a while.
Those sound like good ideas. What encouragement would you provide to students who maybe aren't as comfortable with some of the SEL activities, like community circles, for example?
I would say it's okay to be uncomfortable, and sometimes we grow the most when we are uncomfortable. So even though you might not want to participate, or you're like, gosh, not these circles again, remember that you're part of a community and that you always have the opportunity to pass, but it's a chance for you to hear what other people have to say and might be experiencing, right? And then you might have been having a disagreement with Penny, or something happening that you're angry at somebody or you were upset, but then you hear that that person just found out that their grandma died, or you find out that, you know, they have to move, and then you understand maybe a little bit better what's going on with them too, and that you aren't alone, that they're not alone, and maybe just by listening and being kind, you can support your classmate even though you didn't really want to participate. Just by being nice, you're participating.
Okay, we got time for one more question for Mr. Ojaghi. Have you ever thought of creating a site that educates people on the benefits of SEL, like Mystery Doug did with his Mystery Science videos?
I love this question. I don't have to create a site, and I was trying to think of a way to help you remember it, but I don't know if you've heard the YMCA, right? So there's a group, but it's not the same letters, but it's CASEL is CASEL, and that stands for the Collaborative for Academic and Social and Emotional Learning. And they just celebrated 30 years of participating and being the pioneers in doing this work. So I linked it in here in my notes, but you can find it at casel.org, which is all caps, CASEL. And they have all kinds of resources, both for educators and for students too, but it's all kinds of resources. I do want to say there is research that shows that for every $1 we spend on working with SEL, there's an $11 return. So if you're thinking about what are we doing with our money, why are we doing these activities, that's a pretty good return on investment, is term ROI. There you go.
Well, this has been really interesting, and we hope very educational for our listeners. Thanks so much for taking time to sit down with Spartan Chat to help us better understand the importance of SEL in our schools. We've really enjoyed our time together.
Thanks for having me. I'm super impressed. Thanks for being here and doing it and being patient while I got here too.
Well, Sycamore, that wraps up another great episode of Spartan Chat. Be sure to check back often for new episodes. Until next time,
Go Spartans!